one of the questions that keeps being brought up, guys, is the bullpen. And the bullpen is going to have its ups and downs. They're still they were a top 8 ERA bullpen going into yesterday's game. And they did make a move, though, when Grayson came back. Mike Baumann got DFA'd. So in that part right now, waiting to see if he's going to be traded, claimed. To be honest, I don't see him not going unclaimed. It's one way or another. I think too talented of a guy that he's not going to end up somewhere else. So on a personal note, that's bittersweet. Just because I do think he can really help the team, and I'm still in that I think we all are in that clubhouse that's the case.
Yeah.
But it leads to this other question where there isn't a lot of depth at the spot right now. So the reason why we're bringing this up, when they made the move, the choice was either that they would have to DFA one of their players without an option. So that was guys like Webb, Mike. I forget who the other player that had the option to do that. Or you could have optioned players down, like Keegan Aiken had an option, but it lefty arm. People were talking about Perez. Right. The Orioles love Perez's metrics, and he's got a lively arm, but he hasn't pitched up to expectations so far, and he's been injured. They make a move, but when you look at the minor leagues right now, there are guys that are talented but aren't necessarily seasoned. So the Orioles right now, it's going to be a little bit thinner here, even though despite they have a 6-man rotation, which they look to be heading to, Brad.
Yeah, the 6-man rotation is also incredible. When was the last time the Orioles even had that?
Do we know? Well, they used the weird with both. They were doing the bullpen games 2 years ago, but was that a 5th day or 6th day? I can't really remember if that. I want to say it was every 5th day still.
Yeah,
but they're doing an interesting. So they're keeping 2 guys, I believe, on schedule. Burns and I want to say Bradish. They're keeping on a 5-day schedule, and then Irvin is turning into like this mid. Sometimes he comes out of the bullpen, sometimes he starts. So it's like a weird 5.5-man rotation.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested to see how it goes, because obviously we saw Cole come out of the bullpen.
Speaking of starting pitching, have we heard anything about Wellesley?
I haven't heard a lot.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would just say, I don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
So I just don't think, especially the fact, and this is not even news that's been out there, he hasn't thrown yet. Right. And on other cases, the longer that prolongs, it's more and more time you're going to have to rehab. The longer you take from throwing to, the more you're going to have to build back up. I don't think it's a good prognosis. And again, so we're talking about depth here. That's the biggest talking point here, and how it's currently constructed, unless you have a guys in the minor leagues, and they have guys like Baker's down there, Vespi's down there. You have some of your other prospects, or even like starting pitchers like Povich, McDermott, but you don't need starting pitchers right now. And would you put them in a role that they've never been in? But we have seen Cole Irvin is going to be the guy that's going to be asked to, hey, Cole, start. Hey, Cole, come out of the pen. And he was great, guys, out of the pen yesterday, I believe, in the game. And that's something that I think he's going to have to, be ready to do.
Friend of the show.
I
just selfishly, just curious, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but why does it take so long for a prognosis like that? Like, is it they have to just I don't know. Like, why does it take so long to determine whether or not you need Tommy John or you're going to go through some long rehab? Like, do you know what that is? Like, why that happens?
Well, it depends on the extent of the injury here. And actually, next time we'll have Yoni back on here to talk about Tommy John, because he even actually texted me, goes, when do we need to break down something else? I'm like, well, we might be needing to do that next show, because that is a prolonged conversation. Like the Bradish part with him dealing with his injury, figuring out how the PRP shot, was going to respond to his elbow. Right. So then you have to see how that goes. That was good. Then there's guys like Felix Bautista where you have an idea, but you're still going to give it a go. All right, it's not going to work. You move on. Some guys, it's so evident from the start where you say, yep, we're shutting it down. Like you've seen some of the top pitchers that went down earlier this year.
Yep.
It was automatic. Then these pitchers that are in a gray area where you're sitting there going, is there a chance that we can try to avoid? Because also, I think Tommy John, while effective for you to get back, it doesn't mean that, long term, it's going to be the best thing for you. I think that people need to understand that as you get older. It doesn't mean that you get Tommy John, it's going to be the best thing for your arm moving forward. So I think they just have to look at all of their options before just automatically jumping where it kind of goes, if that makes sense. So
for sure.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think that is going to be the ultimate question, is just the depth. Because in this case right now, I will say, I do think that the Orioles are going to be looking heavily more at the deadline. I don't think there's any move imminent, but there isn't as much depth as there is for the team right now, unless they're willing to give other guys opportunities. But I do think if someone goes down in the bullpen, I think you're going to see guys like Baker come back up, or Vespi maybe get a chance, but it's not going to be maybe some of the new names unless they're going to go to the pen. Like Cade Povich has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I just don't know where he's going to fit in the rotation. Right now, there isn't a spot.
Yeah, he can't. I mean, obviously, and we talk about this all the time. You know, baseball's 162 games. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be opportunities eventually for guys. But, you know, you brought him up. Cade Povich is dominating right now, and he looks every bit as good as what the Orioles had hoped he would look like in the minors. But right now, for the first time, and like you were kind of saying, Brad, first time in how long do we look at, we have a great starting pitching prospect, and we're like, where do we put him?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it used to be the Orioles needed anything they could take at pitching, and now it's like, okay, we have to go to a 6-man rotation because everyone is pitching that well.
Yeah. And so, well, the other part too, when you're looking at that month of June, you know, you're trying to keep those arms fresh as much as you can. If you have 6 capable arms, really 7 that can start, you can throw in Suarez. Like 7 guys can start right now, and you're like, yeah, it's a good problem to have. Very good problem to have.